Okay, that's fine. So, I will try to summarize basically the theme of the current book, Face to Face with Shiva, Scientific Perspective of a Spiritual Experience. And as she said, the other book you can download from the SFO website, it's a free download. If you want hard copy, you can go to Amazon. So this particular book that is in the draft stage, it will be going for publishing hopefully towards the end of the year. And if you want a copy, you can request it. Free copy of the manuscript we can email to you PDF format. So it is based on my real life experience. When I was a teenager, it's the first time today that I'm publicly sharing that experience. When I was a teenager, in year 1970, December, in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, in northern India, a very unique something happened. Very, very unique experience I had. We were performing a yajna in the open air, and suddenly I saw on my right side there were like earthen blocks. So through the wall, a blue shining light appeared.
Can you hold the mic a little bit closer? We're not
Okay.
able to hear you.
Yes. So I was sitting here and there is Havan Kund in front of me, and suddenly my attention is drawn. It was around the dusk time, around 7 p.m. When it's neither day nor night, but it's like the dusk time. So from my right side, I see a bluish light, and that draw my attention. So through the earthen blocks, a huge bluish light appeared, and it was the leg. And the very next moment, Lord Shiva is standing in front of me. More than 100 feet tall, bluish light emitting from his entire body. He was standing in front of me. And then he took a Padmasana posture, sitting right there, just between me and him, just like you are sitting here. That's the separation we had. In between was the Havan Kunda. But just, I told you, more than 100 feet size, just in front of me. And there was no lip movement, but we did talk. And what was the talk? So he asked me, do you want me to be with you forever, always? Do you want me to be with you? So the way I have been brought up since I was a child was that if somebody offers you an arm, don't try to hold more than a finger. And I responded, I said, I have seen you, that is enough for me. I don't even need anything else. And Lord Shiva is always known to be a man of few words. If you read whatever the literature or anything, he is supposed to be a man of few words. So the very next moment, the Lord gets up, steps on my right, like this, diagonally, here. And he raises one leg. Now his back is towards me. Raises one leg, then raises the other leg. He's suspended in the space, in Padmasana, and then starts moving away from me. And I am able to see the bluish light going further and further away in the sky. And it's going towards, and then it turns a bit towards the left, and I can't see that light anymore. So I'm just dumbstruck. I can't believe it, as if, So it took me some time to recover from that. So there were two gentlemen sitting next to me also in that yajna. So I asked them, did you see anything? And they said, no, we did not. And ever since then, I just kept it to myself. I did not even share it with my mother. And the reason this book is being written is that somebody had a very violent argument with me, and after that argument, he convinced me to write this book. He said, and I have jumped from an airplane. I had a plane crash from a burning aircraft. I jumped, and I said to myself, maybe what he is saying is right. That there is probably this, to write this book is the only purpose of my remaining borrowed time while I am on the planet. So I thought there is something which needs to be done. I need to write this, and as hard as it is to write a book, I did it. I'm glad that it is there now. And if you will see some parts of that book, what Lord Shiva is revealing is basically some knowledge. He's revealing the knowledge about the secret of the creation of the world, the purpose of our life on the planet, and also what each one of us can do, what each one of us can do, basically. So, this is, with the limited time that I have, I'll just focus on two things. This is one of them, abstract neural network. How did Lord communicate with me? He did not speak, I did not speak. How did he communicate with me? So today, I use the computers. I'm a computer scientist for my day job. I use the computer, I type something in, right? And then I save it in a file, I transfer the file, or in a chat, I put it, and it's going through the network, that whole process is there. Is it necessary? Is it efficient? No, it is not. Or I read the book to get something. Sometimes I'm able to communicate with like-minded people, probably at the thought level. Okay? So, that is the abstract neural network. So there's a whole chapter in the book on this. The other thing he reveals is that, what is the super element, how that is decomposed to three basic constituent elements, and it's the combination of those three constituent elements that everything is produced. The purpose of our life is to return a useful value. So moksha and nirvana are little different concepts, and also reveals, the Lord reveals that, how do we attain that? Once we return useful values, we have attained the purpose of our life. So it is not just that I could be perpetually in meditation. The very thought that, as esteemed speakers before me described, that, I'm being selfish if I'm saying that I want to attain moksha or nirvana. That is really being selfish. And that is also some kind of a, if I'm thinking that I'm superior than others, that's some kind of violence already there. We talk about ahimsa. Its compassion is the highest religion, and spirituality is actually above all religion, right? And all knowledge is spiritual. So the term spirituality was introduced in the 9/11 book, which is a free download, you can see, and that's the definition of this whole thing, So all knowledge is spiritual. So when you see a Newton, he will see an apple falling. So he will see an apple fall. What is inspired to him? That there is some force which is pulling the apple down. Millions and millions of people would have seen this apple falling. But he was implanted, he was inspired with that knowledge. What are our sages doing? Somebody may say, all these rishis, these guys, they are just wandering the Himalayas, they are useless people, they are not contributing anything to the world. What is it that they are doing? They are radiating positive energy. There is a balance that must always be maintained. There is a theory of the wave. So, all our negative actions, negative karmas that we do, those are creating negativity in the wave. So, if you look at the amplitude, it needs to be balanced, it needs to be wiped out. Why do tsunami happen? Or why do other tragedies happen? It is to maintain that balance. If we collectively meditate, we raise positive energy, we do something positive, that's basically going to wipe out some of the negativity. So we need to keep on doing that, like collective meditation is a wonderful thing to do. Abstract neural networks, I talked a little bit about it, that you can communicate at the thought level. So abstract neural network Cloud would basically bypass all of that stuff, that you have, you have to really type and then it goes through that, and I travel in flights and even in the red eye, I see everybody just working on the PPTs. It is really useless. I mean, if we can communicate at that level, and today we are only competing, there's an RFP response, 100 companies respond, how much time is being wasted? Just we are competing, and we have to shift that paradigm. You talk about the paradigm shift. If we start cooperating, we'll be wasting so much less resources, and we'll be achieving a lot more collectively as humanity. And imagine what is going on in God's mind. If you are a parent and you have 2 kids, or you have 3 kids and they are fighting and killing each other, how would you feel? That is how God is feeling when we are doing wars, we are fighting, we are killing each other. That is how God is feeling. I believe my time is already up. 2 minutes? Okay, thank you. You are very kind. This is almost the closest replica of how Lord appeared. This is basically a statue in Mandal Mahadeva statue near IKI airport in Delhi. But they have made a similar one near Kathmandu also. And that is actually, I am paying homage to at Kailash, on the Kailash Yatra, and that's the Mansarovar Holy Lake, you can see. So, so Lord reveals a lot of things. You can have your own personal connection to Lord Shiva. There's nobody needed in between, honestly, I tell you. I am also not a needed in between, or I'm just a messenger here to tell you that you can have your own very personal connection. And the very term Om Namah Shivaya, what it means is the first thing in the book that you can see. It is Om Namah Shivaya means going in respect to divinity within and without. So what is the divinity within is the integration of your mind, body and spirit, wonderfully, which has been described in the previous session. And outside divinities everywhere in the universe. And the oneness is that this whole of the mind, body, spirit be combined with that whole which is everywhere else, that is the oneness. So thank you very much for listening and being so patient. And if you have any questions, maybe in that remaining minute or two we can take a couple of